1984, Australia makes sexual harassment unlawful. We were the first country in the world to do that. We really, have led in a lot of ways. I had practiced in the employment law area, and over 20 years, the sexual harassment cases at the start, there weren't nudie calendars or strip joints anymore, but actually, a lot of the sexual harassment cases by 20 years later were still quite similar. Um, in 2017, October 2017, Harvey Weinstein reporting in the New York Times that he's been harassing, not just sexually harassing, false imprisonment and rape of young actresses and administrative staff on threat of their career for decades. And we now know he is still in prison. He was found guilty. That conversation started what is now known as the Me Too conversation, hashtag Me Too, this global conversation about the experience. Rather than rape, but particularly in Australia, it was about workplace sexual harassment. And at that point in time, I was a Sex Discrimination Commissioner. This was a topic I knew well. We were about to do a fourth regular survey on sexual harassment nationally in 2018. It had been done since 2003 by my predecessors. So I knew this survey was coming up. I knew it was going to say that sexual harassment was still an issue in Australia. And Kelly O'Dwyer had just become the new Minister for Women. So I went to meet with her really early in her term, and she said, "What should I focus on?" And I said, there were two things that she did end up focusing on, but one of them that I talked to her about was because she knew she had 12 months till the next election. She's
Yeah.
like, short time, smart politicians. And I said, I think if you could support us doing a national inquiry, people are calling for a royal commission. We don't need a royal commission. We've got the functions, we could do it. So it started a lot because of the scandal and the leadership, and the moment was right with the right politician. And that's, people often say, how do you get government to agree? Often you just need to get the right people to support what you want to do. So the inquiry happened over the course of 2018 and 2019, and our report was delivered and tabled in Parliament on the 5th of March 2020, which was also the last sitting day
Before
before
COVID.
COVID
Yeah.
completely derailed everything. I was due to fly out to the UN to talk about our findings because there was global interest in the research because everyone was facing the same problem. That on the 8th of March, that was cancelled when we were all watching the T20 Women's World Cup at the MCG, and then we all went home for a couple of years. So, what happened in terms of the outcomes? So, for all that work, we travelled across the country. The survey was fantastic. We also, Deloitte Access Economics did an economic analysis of the cost of sexual harassment. So, in short, the findings were it's still really common. One in three Australian workers were still experiencing sexual harassment. It's very costly, and it's actually costly to business. They are the ones who are paying the highest price for this $2.8 billion in 2018. And that the system that we've had in place has been based on complaints. So we have a system that relies on the courage of a victim to bring a complaint for anything to happen. And it was not a system that was expecting organisations to do anything to actually prevent sexual harassment. So we made 55 recommendations. There's a lot, but the key you've already mentioned was the introduction of the positive duty to say, what you need to be able to prove as an organisation, you are taking steps to prevent this happening, not that you are going to tell us after a complaint comes in what you did about it. And that was a big shift. The Australian Human Resources Institute did a survey last year of all the legislative change in the previous 3 years, and I was so rapt to see that it said employers felt that the Respect at Work reforms were the most helpful for them in running their businesses.
That's
So
amazing.
because it wasn't that employers were saying, great, go for your life. They were saying, we have been trying to stop this and we don't know why we're not. And just being able to stop and review what that was and to consider what you should be doing to stop it. It's a much more, it wasn't like organizations weren't doing things, they just weren't necessarily doing the right things.